Hello, 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 and welcome to. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys? Oh, there we go. Just had to make sure that my microphone was on. Okay. Hello, 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 and welcome to the marvelous Monday broadcast of Miss Hope's Reading Hour. So glad to be here with you all this evening. I know that I said that we were going to be on at 7:30, but the reason why I am broadcasting right now is because here in Philadelphia, in the tri-state area, it's supposed to rain a lot. Possible flash flood warning, okay? So, I didn't want to lose reception in case it just rained so crazy, okay? So I was like, should I go on early? Should I wait? But if I wait, I'm not going to be able to go on. So I wanted to go on with you all today. So I said, you know what? We will go on early, all right? So that we can get past the rain. And for those of you who don't make it on right now, while it's raining, what better thing to do than to watch Miss Hope's Reading Hour while you are in the, while it's raining outside, while you're comfortable in the house. My friends, my young ones, my older young ones, tomorrow, August the 31st is the first day of school here in Philadelphia and in some other schools in the tri-state area, but it is the first day of school tomorrow. So, my friends, make sure you got your mask, all right? And maybe have some extras because you never know what might happen, okay? So, have your masks, your little hand sanitizer. When you go to the bathroom, make sure you wash your hands, all of your hands, not just your fingertips, okay? Get between those fingers. Make sure you're washing your hands, okay? Also, remember, when you cough or you sneeze, you dab, okay? Remember to do that, all right? And whatever rules that they have for you guys in school, make sure that you follow them because they are only for your health and safety, okay? But do know that this whole week and even before this week, we have been preparing for you guys, okay? And we are excited to see you, excited to let you know how much we've missed you. Unfortunately, we might have to fist bump and elbow bump instead of doing hugs, even though we really, really want to. But we are so excited to see you tomorrow. And I know all of the schools that have started already that teachers were excited to see their students and their students were excited to see them. We're hoping for and praying for a wonderful year this year, okay? So, make sure, got your mask, maybe some extras, okay? Your little hand sanitizer, all right? Oh yeah, make sure that you bring a water bottle. Make sure you bring a water bottle because you want to make sure, because I don't think that you're going to be able to use we don't have water fountains anymore. We have what's called a hydration station where you stick your water bottle underneath and you get your water, okay? So bring yourself a water bottle, or you can bring a disposable one if you so choose, okay? So that you can have something to drink, but most of all, bring yourself and your wonderful, beautiful faces and your beautiful eyes and just your readiness to learn. And we are so excited to see you all, okay? Now, let us get to the books. Oh, well, I'll have this announcement at the end. I'll announce it at the end, okay? But let us get to our books. So today, I have this one book that I bought in the last shipment. Oh, yeah, that's right. Let's make sure to put that up there because we always need those book donations. We always need those donations so we can get more books. The only reason why I'm probably not going to have to get any books as quickly is from my friend from school. One of the teachers at my school. Remember I told you she had a whole lot of books and I snagged some of them. And one of them I'm going to read today because I had this one book and I was like, well, what other book am I going to read it with? And so I looked through those books and I said, oh, here is one. So the theme for today is the family picture. Okay, the family portrait. So during this summer, you've probably gone some places. You and your family in your house have taken a lot of pictures together. And so you have a lot of pictures of things that you've done probably throughout this whole 16, 18 months when you were doing virtual learning. So you have a lot of memories, even though you didn't get to go a whole lot of places. So these two books today will talk about the family picture and like how people feel about taking family pictures and the kinds of things they document in a family picture. Because most people think of just the portrait where the family sits together, or everybody sits and looks serious, or smiles, or looks silly, or something like that. But there's all types of family pictures that you can consider a portrait that you might want to hang up on your wall. So that's what our theme is today. And my friends, we are at the end of the Unteachables. We got to find out what happens at the science fair, okay? All right, now with all that being said, let's get to the books. Now, our first book today is called The Worm Family Has Its Picture Taken. This book is by Jennifer Frank and David Ezra Stein, a Caldecott honoree. Those medals I keep talking to you guys about. The Worm Family Has Its Picture Taken. All right, and the next book, this is one of the ones I got from my friend. It's called simply Family Pictures. Cuadros de Familia. So this book is in English and Spanish. This book is by Carmen Lomas Garza. Family Pictures. And of course, child, we done made it to the end of the Unteachables. We will finish it today, okay? Find out what happens. I still want to see if Miss Fountain's mother is going to come and reunite with Mr. Kermit. I want to see, okay? All right. Let us get to our first book. The Worm Family Has Its Picture Taken. Oh, and it looks the same underneath the dust jackets. The Worm Family Has Its Picture Taken by Jennifer Frank. Who is the publisher? Oh, and this is an Anne Schwartz Books book. Mrs. Worm lay at the top of a giant dirt pile watching her children play. They were wriggling their bodies into all kinds of delightful shapes. She hoped she'd always remember how squirmy, slimy, and cute they were at this age. But she did not have a very good memory because her brain was so tiny. I know, she declared. I'll have our picture taken. Sounds like a good idea to me. The very next day, Mrs. Worm called Mr. Muskrat, the photographer, to arrange a time. Look at how they had called each other. Hello, Miss Brandy. So glad to see you and the boys on. Then she told her family. That is so cool, the oldest Emma exclaimed. She loved the idea of being able to see herself hanging on the wall every day. Emma could hardly wait to tell her friend Ellie. How splendiferous! Squealed Ellie. What an awesome word. Splendiferous. We had our picture taken last year, and it was amazing. We had the most beautiful smiles. Cool, said Emma. But then she thought about how worms don't have teeth. How would they have beautiful smiles in their picture? Oh well, she decided. We will still have a nice way to remember our family. That's right. Worms do not have teeth. On her way home, Emma bumped into her friend Abigail and told her all about the family portrait. Too fabulous, meowed Abigail. I just love having my picture taken. My human always takes me to the beauty salon first, so that my big poofy hair will look especially gorgeous. Cool, said Emma. But then she thought about how worms don't have hair. How could they look poofy and gorgeous in their picture? Oh well, she decided. We will still have a nice way to remember our family. As she continued on her way, Emma was feeling a bit less excited. At the forsythia bush, she saw her friend Olivia sitting on a branch. Emma told her about the portrait. Oh, wow-wee! Squealed Olivia and flitted high above Emma's head. My family took one of those just last week, and all our colors made it look like a rainbow. I guess that would look pretty beautiful, a family of butterflies. Cool, Emma said sadly, as Olivia fluttered away on the breeze. She was already thinking about how worms are just one color. Her family was beautiful. She knew they were, but there would be no bright colors in their picture. Oh well, she decided. We will still have a nice way to remember our family. But the rest of the trip home, Emma couldn't help feeling much less excited. As Emma fell asleep that night, she thought about what her friends had said. How was her family going to make their portrait special? When she woke up, she had an idea. I wonder what that idea was. I wonder what they're going to do. The day of the photo shoot arrived, and Emma had a surprise for everyone. What in the world is that? Huh. It's a box full of stuff. A lot of stuff, too. Pretty, her little sister squealed excitedly. Mr. and Mrs. Worm were less sure. Their new look was not comfortable. Oh, she had a lot of props for them to possibly wear for their photo shoot. There's wigs and dresses and shoes and ties. Even though the Worm family arrived at the studio on time, Mr. Muskrat would not take their picture. "I'm sorry," he said. "I have an appointment with a family of worms. You will have to come back another day." "But we are the family of worms," said Mrs. Worm. Oh, he didn't recognize them. I guess not. They did have on a lot of stuff. The photographer laughed. "For one thing, worms do not have teeth," he said. Mrs. Worm quickly instructed her family to spit out their fake teeth. "And they do not have hair," said Mr. Muskrat. The family took off their wigs. Wow, they really dressed up for this. And they most definitely are not colorful. The family undressed. "Ah," they said. "Oh," said Mr. Muskrat, looking very surprised. "I am terribly sorry. I didn't recognize you." Then together, the worm family wriggled and squiggled and squeezed into a delightful pose only a worm family could make. Can you tell what it says? Cheese! Mr. Muskrat snapped the picture. The first of their many annual portraits was taken. That was pretty clever. The next morning, Emma sat with her family, admiring the portrait now hanging in their worm hideaway. "It's perfectly perfect," she whispered. And she would have reached out and given them a big hug if she had arms. But worms don't have arms. The end. Oh, I love this story. This was good. The worm family has its picture taken. That comes up sometimes when we have school pictures and everyone's like, "Oh, I don't, have this new outfit or this new hairdo or these sneakers that no one's going to see in the school picture because they see you from here up. They're not going to see the sneakers, okay?" Like, there's all of these things that you could think of that, oh, well, we don't have this and we don't have that. But guess what? You have the most important thing of all. You have you and you have your family. And that's really what everybody wants to see. They don't want to see all that other stuff. No one cares about all that other stuff. They want to see your beautiful face. That's what they want to see. And when it's a family portrait, good job, Mr. Muskrat. Because you could have been a photographer that just took their money and was like, oh, I'll let them just be out here and not look like themselves. But Mr. Muskrat, the photographer, reminded them of who they were. And that is who you want everybody to see. Not trying to be like everybody else. This book is a good lesson about family, loving the family that you have, and loving yourself just the way you are. Very good book. Very good. I like this book. Parent friends, teacher friends, parent teacher friends. Good book to get for young ones and older young ones. Now, on to our next book. Let us change the ambiance for this one. All right, so this one is simply called Family Pictures by Carmen Lomas Garza. And this is a children's book press book. Okay. So this book basically shows different pictures and portraits of things that the family remembers. Let's start with the first one. The fair in Reynosa. My friends and I once went to a very big fair across the border in Reynosa, Mexico. The fair lasted a whole week. Artisans and entertainers came from all over Mexico. There were lots of booths with food and crafts. This is one little section where everybody is ordering and eating tacos. I painted a father buying tacos and the rest of the family sitting down at the table. The little girl is the father's favorite, and that's why she gets to tag along with him. I can always recognize little girls who are their father's favorites. Look at that picture. And if you look here, the words are in English and Spanish. Oranges. We were always going to my grandparents' house, so whatever they were involved in, we would get involved in. In this picture, my grandmother is hanging up the laundry. We told her that the oranges needed picking, so she said, well, go ahead and pick some. Before she knew it, we had too many oranges to hold in her hands, so she made a basket out of her apron. That's my brother up in the tree picking oranges. The rest of us are picking up the ones he dropped on the ground. Wow, how cool is that? To have an orange tree right at your house. I couldn't have that orange tree. I love oranges. They are like my favorite fruit. I would probably be sick from eating so many oranges. I love them. For dinner, this is my grandparents' backyard. My grandmother is killing a chicken for dinner. My grandfather is in the chicken coop trying to catch another chicken. Later, my family will sit down to eat Sunday dinner, chicken soup. That's me in the blue dress with my younger brother, Arturo. He was so surprised by the scene that he started to spill his snow cone. We had never seen anything like that. I knew my grandparents had always raised chickens, but I never knew how chickens got to be soup. Yeah, that's kind of how it happens. For a lot of us, we get chicken from factories, and it kind of happens in a factory. But people who live on farms, a lot of times, they kill an animal for their own meat. And that's how they get it. So that's how a chicken becomes soup. birthday party. That's me hitting the piñata at my 6th birthday party. It was also my brother's 4th birthday. My mother made a big birthday party for us and invited all kinds of friends, cousins, and neighbors' kids. You can't see the piñata when you're trying to hit it because your eyes are covered with a handkerchief. My father is pulling the rope that makes the piñata go up and down. He will make sure that everybody has a chance to hit it at least once. Somebody will end up breaking it, and that's when all the candies will fall out and all the kids will run and try to grab them. Have you ever had a piñata for your birthday? You know, now they make them in all different types of shapes. Cakewalk. Cakewalk was a game to raise money to send Mexican Americans to the university. You paid 25 cents to stand on a number. When the music started, you walked around and around. When the music stopped, whatever number you happened to step on was your number. Then one of the ladies in the center would pick out a number from the can. If you were standing on the winning number, you would win a cake. That's my mother in the center of the circle in the pink and black dress. My father is serving punch. I'm the little girl in front of the store, scribbling on the sidewalk with a twig. Wow, there's a lot going on. Oh, you see her mom? That's her right there. Picking nopal cactus. In the early spring, my grandfather would come and get us, and we'd all go out into the woods and pick nopal cactus. My grandfather and my mother are slicing off the fresh, tender leaves of the nopal and putting them in boxes. My grandmother and my brother Arturo are pulling leaves from the mesquite tree to line the boxes. After we got home, my grandfather would shave off all the needles from each leaf of cactus. Then my grandmother would partially boil the leaves in hot water. The next morning, she would cut them up and stir fry them with chili powder and eggs for breakfast. There they are picking the nopals. I've had nopals before. They taste pretty good. Hammerhead shark. This picture is about the times my family went to Padre Island in the Gulf of Mexico to go swimming. Once when we got there, a fisherman had caught a big hammerhead shark at the end of the pier. How he got that shark to the beach, I never found out. It was scary to see because it was big enough to swallow a little kid whole. Look at that big shark. Yeah, that would be kind of scary. I've never seen a shark up close. Rabbit. My grandfather used to have a garden and also raised chickens and rabbits. In this painting, he is coming into the kitchen with a freshly prepared rabbit for dinner. My grandmother is making tortillas. That's my little brother Arturo sitting on the bench. He liked to watch my grandmother cook. And that's my younger sister Margie, playing jacks on the floor. I'm watching from my grandparents' bedroom, which is next to the kitchen. Wow, how she could remember all of these things and paint them is amazing. Joseph and Mary seeking shelter at the inn. On each of the 9 nights before Christmas, we'd act out the story of Mary and Joseph seeking shelter at the inn. We call this custom Las Posadas. A little girl and a little boy play Mary and Joseph, and they are led by an angel. Each night the travelers go to a different house. They knock on the door. When the door opens, they sing, "We are Mary and Joseph looking for shelter." At first, the family inside refuses to let them in. Then the travelers sing again. At last, Joseph and Mary are led into the house. Then everybody comes in and we have a party. Oh, so this is about moments throughout the whole year. Making tamales. This is a scene from my parents' kitchen. Everybody is making tamales. My grandfather is wearing blue overalls and a blue shirt. I'm right next to him with my sister Margie. We're helping to soak the dried leaves from the corn. My mother is spreading the cornmeal dough on the leaves, and my aunt and uncle are spreading meat on the dough. My grandmother is lining up the rolled and folded tamales, ready for cooking. In some families, just the women make tamales, but in our family, everyone helps. Nice. What kind of things do you and your family cook where everyone helps cook it? I actually had tamales for lunch last week. One of my favorite things, watermelon. It's a hot summer evening. The whole family's on the front porch. My grandfather has brought us some watermelons that afternoon. We put them in the refrigerator and let them chill down. Oh, that's the best way to eat it. After supper, we went out to the front porch. My father cut the watermelon and gave each one of us a slice. It was fun to sit out there. The light was so bright on the porch that we couldn't see beyond the edge of the lit area. It was like being in our own little world. Nice. Ice cold watermelon. The best way to eat it. The Virgin of San Juan. A mother and son have gone to church, and she's doing some praying. In the meantime, her son starts entertaining himself by taking things out of her purse. She lets him for a while. Then he hands her a handkerchief. I don't know if he thought that maybe she was crying and needed her handkerchief, or whether he was just playing with it and she took it away from him. Healer. This is a scene at a neighbor's house. The lady in bed was very sick with the flu. She had already been to a regular doctor and had gotten prescription drugs for her chest cold. But she had also asked a healer, a curandera, to do a final cleansing or healing for this flu. So the curandera came over and did a cleansing using branches from the rue tree. She also burned copal incense in a coffee can at the foot of her bed. Curanderas know a lot about healing. They are very highly respected. Beds for dreaming. My sister and I used to go up on the roof on summer nights and just stay there and talk about the stars and the constellations. We also talked about the future. I knew since I was 13 years old that I wanted to be an artist. And all those things that I dreamed of doing as an artist, I'm finally doing now. My mother was the one who inspired me to be an artist. She made up our beds to sleep in and have regular dreams, but she also laid out the bed for our dreams of the future. How cool is that? The end. This is a very unusual book. We've been reading some unusual books, right? I like this one because it shows different portraits of things that are important to families, different pictures. Not just a picture of everyone sitting and getting their picture taken, but important moments to different families. Because you never know what's important from one family to another. And someone may be looking at pictures in your picture album or on your phone or online or on your social media pages, and they're like, why would you take a picture of that? Because that was something that was important to our family. It might not be important to you, but it's certainly important to us. So I like all of these different pictures in this book because it shows how even though we're from different cultures and different places, there are different things that are important to different people. And some of those things are the same. Like I can remember being in the kitchen cooking with all of my family and how that's important. What else? I can remember sitting on the porch, not eating watermelon, but eating popsicles in the summertime. So it's not quite the same thing, but it is the same. And a picture book like this shows that even though our cultures may be different and what we do might be a little different, that we are so much the same. We are so much the same. So glad I got to read this book with you. When was this book written? Is this an older book? Because I keep telling y'all these older books are still good. They are still awesome books. When was this book written? Let me see. This book was written in 1990. So not quite so old, but still an oldie but goodie. Very good book. So glad I got to read it with you all now. Now, you know where we are. We are at these Unteachables, y'all. Okay, this is it. This is the end of it. We're at the end. We're going to finish it today. All right, so where we are in the Unteachables is that finally Mr. Kermit and everyone has seen that, seen what the students have done with his old beat up car. They have made an internal combustion engine. Is that what it's called? But it didn't seem like it was that big of an idea and that they would really win with that. But it's not just sitting there. It's inside of a restored car, y'all. So that's where we are. Without further ado, Chapter 29 of The Unteachables by Gordon Corman. Chapter 29, Parker Elias. Who is driving the car, by the way? It's worth all the hard work to see Mr. Kermit's face when he recognizes his car. Brand new and so much better. Although how could it be any worse than it was when he left it, being shoveled up off the entrance to the parking lot. I tap on the gas and listen as the roar echoes off the front of the school building. Some cars purr like a kitten, This one screams like a howler monkey, all thanks to 585 horses under the hood, if it had a hood. Howler monkey. I saw it in a book a couple of days ago. At first, it looked like Hooli Workman, but I figured it out in record time. That's been happening faster and faster lately, thanks to the extra reading help Mr. Kermit has gotten for me. And not just me. Ribbit helped every kid in our class. There's no way we could ever thank him enough for what he's done. But that doesn't mean we can't try. That's why we rebuilt his car for him. That's why I have to use this science fair project, to totally blow the judge's mind and save his job. Grams regards the large eggplant in her lap quizzically. I can't imagine why I bought this pocketbook, she complains. It doesn't match anything I wear. Please don't squeeze it, I request. It's the blue plate special at local table tonight. If I'm driving, there had better be farm business involved. At the moment, Kiana raises her arm and drops it. The high sign. I stomp on the gas. Even I'm shocked by the burst of acceleration as those 585 horses hurl us forward at breakneck speed. In a heartbeat, the others are far behind me in the rearview mirror. The feeling of raw power is so awesome that when we run out of driveway, I almost forgot that I'm the one who's steering the car. At the last instant, I yank on the wheel. We thump onto River Street and fly down the block, tires barely touching the pavement. According to Jake, this engine should get us from 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds. By now, we've got there just about 3. As we picked up speed, Raheem's banner unfurls from the car's old-fashioned radio antenna. I can see it in the mirror, fluttering in the flip stream behind us, the expertly painted words of the message we need to deliver beyond any other. Fire Ribbit? No way! My classmates are jumping up and down and cheering, so it must be open and readable. The adults aren't moving at all, which might be from shock. We didn't tell Jake or Miss Fountain about the banner part. And of course, Mr. Kermit himself didn't suspect any of this until a few seconds ago. He might not even know he's Ribbit. Then everybody's gone as I screech around the corner to circle the block. That's the plan. A quick loop of the school, banner flying, and back up the driveway to stop at the judge's feet so they can examine this monster engine, every inch of it built by us. By this time, Grams is enjoying the ride. Where we going, kiddo? The senior center, like always, I reply, with a short detour to impress the judges. Judges? She echoes in a strange tone. Don't you mean firemen? No, Graham, they're judges, I explain patiently. This is a science fair project. She frowns. Then who's gonna put out that fire? That's when I spot tongues of bright orange flame in the rearview mirror. I panic. The car is on fire! Grams is totally calm. No, it isn't, kiddo. It's that rag we're towing. The banner! I risk a glance over my shoulder. She's right. The heat of the tailpipe set fire to the bedsheet fabric we used to make the banner. Come to think of it, Jake mentioned that he filled the gas tank with racing fuel to get maximum performance for the judges. He said it really burns hot. Yeah, no kidding. What should I do? If I stop, then we won't win the science fair and Kermit will be gone. But how can I drive a car that's on fire? Well, technically, the car isn't burning. Just a sheet attached to the radio antenna. Already Fire Ribbit, no way, is down to Fire Ribbit, no W. It looks like we want him to get fired right now. That's the opposite of the message we're trying to send. I wheel around another corner. Since I can't stop, I speed up, flooring the gas pedal again. Maybe the wind will put out the fire. Instead, it fans the flames. The banner whips from side to side, leaving glowing embers dancing in the air. The next time I look back, the honeysuckle hedge is ablaze. This is definitely not covered under my provisional license. Nice moves, kiddo, Grams cheers. I never knew you were such a good driver. All the months I've been driving Grams, and she doesn't notice my skills until I'm laying waste to the neighborhood. As I street back toward River Street, I leave a line of smoldering bushes in my wake. Black smoke hangs in the air. Now the banner is down to Fire Rib, which sounds like an ad for a restaurant. All along the sidewalk, people are shouting and pointing and scrambling to get out of the way of the swirling sparks. Breathing a silent prayer, I make a final turn onto River Street and streak up the school's driveway. Even though this is a disaster, there's only one place to go, back to the judges. Remember, our project isn't banner making 101. It's the internal combustion engine, and that part works amazing. Suddenly, some guy in a suit steps from the parking lot right into the road in front of me. I slam on the brakes, sending the car into a skid. At the last second, the suit guy hurls himself out of the way, somersaulting through a flower bed. The car fishtails around and lurches to a halt right before the three judges. Mr. Canstairs runs up with a fire extinguisher to put out the burning banner with a sea of foam. All that's left is a single word hanging limp from the antenna. Fire. Like we didn't already know that. Half the science fair is out on the lawn gawking at me in horrified silence. I say the thing I've been rehearsing all along. Ta-da! It doesn't go over well as I expected. Jake rushes to help Grams out of the car. The eggplant drops to the pavement and splits open. Miss Fountain comes for me. From the direction of the flower bed, the guy I almost hit marches up, red with fury under the layer of mud that cakes his face and expensive suit. Oh man, it's Dr. Thaddeus, the superintendent. Who's the driver? He rages. I'll have you arrested. You lunatic, how dare you? His voice trails off when he realizes he's talking to a kid. It's an awkward moment. None of the adults have the guts to say anything, but most of them are teachers, and this mudball is their boss. Who do you think you are? She storms at... Oh no, the only person who speaks up is Grams. Who do you think you are? She storms at the stunned Dr. Thaddeus. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, a lowlife who hasn't got the sense to put on a clean suit. Where do you get off yelling at my grandson? My grandson? Then she says it again. My grandson, Parker. Parker? She called me Parker. A lot of crazy things happened this morning. Like when our banner caught fire and the eggplant got ruined and I almost killed the superintendent, obviously. But for me, today will always be the greatest day ever because Grams remembered my name. Chapter 30, Aldo Braff. Just because you got anger management problems doesn't mean there isn't plenty to be ticked off about. Second, the internal combustion engine finished second in this district science fair. It would have been better to finish 150th than to come so close to winning only to take an L. I don't care about the trophy. You can find that plastic junk in any dollar store. But we were a hair away from saving Ribbit. And they gave first place to a bunch of dweebs whose teacher didn't even need saving. I barely remember their project, some windmill thingy. No one's ever gonna forget ours. Definitely not the fire department who had to spray down all the bushes and trees because of conflagration containment, whatever that means. Miss Fountain tries to make us feel better. You can't take this so personally, she tells us on Monday morning. Your project was just as good as the wind turbine, but clean power is very hot these days. Hot, I echo. We set the whole street on fire. What could be hotter than that? She's patient. I mean popular. People care about the environment. Your project was wonderful, but internal combustion engines are so last century. How do you think everybody got to the science fair? Barnstorm challenges. They drove internal combustion engines. I'll bet nobody came by wind turbine, Elaine adds in her usual rumble. Miss Fountain just sighs. I can't be mad at her. She wanted this every bit as much as we did. It was Ribbit who showed me that teachers aren't always the enemy, even when they make you do work or yell or take away your rabbit butts. If it wasn't for Ribbit, I never would have heard of where the red fern grows, which I'd be done with by now if we didn't drop everything to work on the science fair. I can barely picture my life before I knew about Billy, Old Dan, and Little Ann, who feel like real people to me, except Old Dan and Little Ann, who are dogs. Poor Mr. Kermit, says Kiana. I can't believe we let him down. I don't want any more of that kind of talk, Miss Fountain lectures sternly. You didn't let him down, just the opposite. He's prouder of you than he's ever been of any class, and he loves his new car. That's just because of the racing fuel, she explains. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped something. That's how come he was afraid to drive it home from the science fair? Mateo asks. That was just because of the racing fuel, she explains. Once Jake drained all that out and put in regular gas, Mr. Kermit was fine. He has the cutest nickname for it. He calls it Cocoa Nerd. Isn't that adorable? Miss Fountain thinks a lot of things are adorable. That's not my style. Maybe Vladimir, in a lizardy kind of way, and Old Dan and Little Ann, although I never met them in real life. Anyway, Ribbit might be psyched about his car, but he isn't psyched enough to come to school today. Even worse, our sub turns out to be Dawn of the Dead again. To be honest, she's not as mean this time around. Some of that might be that we're so depressed about losing Ribbit that nobody has the energy to give her much of a hard time. We drop a few textbooks, but our hearts aren't into it enough to get the timing right. Who can buzz out a fake power hum when the best teacher in the world is getting shafted and you could have helped, but you failed? We deserve Dawn of the Dead. We deserve someone even meaner than her. I can't picture who that would be. Mateo probably knows. When she tells us to work, we don't argue with her. We don't groan and complain. We don't even goof off. I'm just as happy to get back to Old Dan and Little Ann. It might take my mind off Ribbit and how we blew it for him. Dawn watches us a few minutes. Then she sighs and says, "All right, let's hear it." We stare at her blankly. "Come on," she persists. "Something's eating you. All of you, tell me what it is." It's like a dam breaks, and we all start jabbering at the same time. Our teacher's getting fired for no reason at all. It's not fair. That jerk Thaddeus hates Mr. Kermit. He's worse than the Dementors. I should have run him over when I had a chance. It goes on and on. We never run out of complaints about how awful and unfair it is. It's the first time I've been in a class where everybody else is just as mad as I am. And we can't all have anger management issues. Sometimes mad is exactly what you're supposed to be. The amazing part is Dawn of the Dead doesn't chew us out or shut us down. She listens, which can't be easy with all 7 of us yelling over each other. Then she has a long conversation with Miss Fountain, who comes to see what the racket is all about. The 2 of them are in the hall talking for what seems like forever. Finally, the substitute walks back in the room and faces us. Well, it seems as if I misjudged you young people. She's wrong about that. Anything bad she thought about us last time is double. Because we had the opportunity to help Ribbit, and we came up empty. Oh, is this the last chapter? Oh. No. Oh, you know what? Y'all. Okay. I thought we would end it today, but we actually will end on Wonderful Wednesday. I thought we would be done. Okay, so we have one. So we read 2 chapters and we have 2 chapters left. So we will finish the Unteachables on Wonderful Wednesday. So just to let you know, on Wonderful Wednesday, after Wonderful Wednesday, Miss Hope's reading hour will be taking a hiatus. We'll be taking a break because Miss Hope is in her last semester of college to get her bachelor's degree. And I have some tests that I need to take and an oral presentation to prepare for. So we will be taking a hiatus from live broadcasts for 2 weeks, but I will be showing some oldie but goodies from our past broadcasts from these last 16 to 18 months. I will be showing some of my favorites on Monday, Marvelous Monday, Wonderful Wednesday, and Fabulous Friday. Okay? But you will not see me live because I will be preparing to pass my last class so I can get my degree. Okay? But after that 2 weeks, we will be back in business. Okay? So thank you so much for being here on our Marvelous Monday broadcast. So glad I got to read. Those 2 first books were awesome. They were really great books about family and loving who you are and how you are and sharing the different moments that are important to your family and how they might be the same as someone else's. I'm so glad I got to read those with you guys. Those were some really good books. And we found out that they did not win the science fair, but we got 2 more chapters to go. So we don't know if Mr. Kermit's job will be saved. So you have to come back on Wonderful Wednesday. There's no bones about it. You got to come back. So I will see you on the Wonderful Wednesday broadcast. So glad to be here with you this evening. But we must say goodbye for now. So with all of that being said, I will see you right back here on our Wonderful Wednesday broadcast on Miss Hope's Reading Hour. Until then, my friends, bye for now.